setting it up. We should be live in about 5 seconds here.
All right. Am I right in the camera? I can't see me. Am I right in the camera?
We're about to see in just a second. I'm checking too.
All right.
Okay, so we are officially live. Tim, your video isn't on yet, but it's all good. We've got just enough time to be able to at least introduce you. We Tim Behling here tonight. I'm super excited for everybody who's on. Listen, if you have a nonprofit business, if you're in a space where you know that you want to do something with community, you know you want to help people and really want to do it, it's profitable, but it's meaningful. I'm excited for you to jump on tonight, get all the gems that you can, and we're going to bring on our very special guest in just a moment. We're going to give everybody just a second to get on. And here's what I ask. Even if you're watching the recording with this, what's most important is that you actually stay on. This is something that could change your life. Summer school, if you don't know, is where we are able to give you free gems. Our goal for tonight is really to be able to help you get to the next place and break the ceiling of wherever you are. And a lot of times we just don't know what you don't know, right? I'm sure, Tim, you can attest to that too. You just don't know what you don't know, right? So the idea that tonight is that we're able to help you get some real ideas, break the ceiling, be able to ask some questions, those hard questions that sometimes you need to ask when you just don't have someone to be able to help you. So this is your key tonight. This is your key to the door if you are in the nonprofit space, if you're in that entrepreneurship space, and we're excited to help you do that. So, Tim, I am going to bring you on now. You can bring in and update your video for me. That'll be amazing. Just so we can kind of get you going. And for those who do not know, Tim is an absolute nonprofit leader. He's the founder of Success Teams. He's the president of Build a Pro. I'm sure he'll tell us all about all of that great stuff in just a few. But Tim, if you can come on live. And
it says I can't start the video. It said the host stopped it.
Let me see.
All right.
How about now?
All right, we good.
There you go.
All right,
awesome.
Yeah.
So welcome, Tim. Welcome to summer school. You officially made it.
Yeah.
So why don't we start? Of course, we've got a bunch of accolades that we can run down. I'm talk about Build a Pro, Success Teams, but it's like hearing it from you yourself. So before we jump in, I want us to first set the stage. Tell us who you are. Tell us how you even got into the nonprofit space.
Yeah.
And get into the nitty gritty. Again, tonight, our goal, listen, pay attention. Our goal tonight is to tap into Tim's knowledge that he so generously wants to share tonight. Specifically for people in the nonprofit space. So if you're on here, make sure that you save your questions, but specifically we want to get and dig into that. So Tim, I'm going to give the floor to you. Tell us where you're from, how you got here, and we'll take it from there.
Most definitely. What's going on, everybody? So again, my name is Tim Behling. I'm the founder of the 501c3 nonprofit organization called Success Team, president of Build a Pro LLC, South Carolina native, millennial entrepreneur, all the above. And, I'm just happy to be here, proud, I'm saying, gracious for the opportunity and ready to share.
Absolutely. So take us back, Tim. I'm the type of person, I'm tactical, right? Like I just want to jump into this. So tell us how you even got here. Did you, of course, I'm sure you did the college thing like everybody else. Did you skip that? Did you go into corporate first and then nonprofit? Tell us a little bit about your story and how you even got to being a success leader where you are now.
Most definitely. So it all actually started in college. So I was a freshman in college. I was about 19 years old, and then I started developing the thought that I need to actually go after my dreams and goals. But on top of that, I needed to create a platform to where other millennials, other people who, were going through the thought process of, I got to do something with my life. I got to get something going to where we could all, prosper, connect, and benefit from each other, from the mutually beneficial relationships that we wanted to build. So pretty much in college, decided that I needed to do something besides hit the books. It was a situation where I understood in my mind that the earlier I start, the earliest you can get the platform going. You can get more prospering and things of that nature, and you can reap the benefits, the ROI more quickly. It's a lot of situations where a lot of people wait until after college. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that, but it's a situation where that's a 4-year gap between what you could be doing and onto like what could be happening in that 4 years. Pretty much when you start after you graduate, you start at ground zero. Instead of actually starting while you have the idea. You may not get everything right. It could be a situation where you do a lot of things wrong, but you're in a situation where everything isn't mandatory, to where you can make those mistakes, can go through those learning camps or learning grounds and things of that nature and still be okay, because you're looked at as the cute kid who's trying to do something with themselves instead of waiting until things get mandatory. And that's the process that I had. I was blessed with it and things of that nature, honestly, because it still makes sense to wait until after you can focus solely on one thing. But from my thought process is, if you aren't multitasking, especially in this society, then you aren't necessarily going after everything at your full potential, because you don't have control over your greatness. So it's a situation where on those days to where you aren't, or you feel as if you got to wait or you aren't ready, those could be your greatest days. So you got to start as soon as you want, and then you can go into it. Learn as much as you can. You don't have to go as fast as you want. It's a situation where really after I graduated college, that's when things really started hitting. I think that was a blessing from God, just, saying you've been putting in the work, like, hey, what I'm saying, let's go ahead and get things going. You got more time on your schedule. You're wiser. You got, the tenure, the duration in that you've been putting in the work. You've been building that foundation. So let's go ahead and give you these blessings, and you run with that.
Got it. Okay, so you started early. You started in college, right?
Yep.
Was this Build a Pro or Success Teams?
Success Team was first, and if Success Team, that's my baby.
So tell us what Success Teams is and what exactly that you all do.
Right. So it's 501c3, and we're all about the youth. Pretty much our definition is a Success Team is a 501c3 nonprofit organization specializing in the education of youth development, with providing a platform of support for millennials and the next generation for them to accomplish their dreams and goals. So it's a situation where really what we're doing is we're owning in on our youth. That's ages 13 to 18 for majority of our programs. What we're doing is we're training them, getting them more acclimated with the idea of success, the idea of accomplishing their dreams and goals, and moving forward from there. Then, from that, it was a thought process to where it's just like, okay, so we get them 13 to 18. What happens after that? That's where Build comes in. That's a situation, that's a professionalism development platform, to where what we do from there is like, all right, we've told you can do it. You told you can do it. We've showed you how. Now Build a Pro is the area to where we're implementing it. But on top of that, it's a situation where we're helping the kids, but my goal is to impact families and generations for, years to come. So Build a Pro also is a situation where we can help their parents get more established as well, to provide more for their kids and get them in the right direction. So it's a twofold. We're all about the community. We're all about people. Build a Pro is an LLC. It is a for-profit, but at the end of the day, it's a situation where the mindset is still the same as us, understanding that we got to help our people get to where they want to go in order for us to actually make change.
So this is interesting because you have both a nonprofit and a for-profit business.
Right.
Okay, so this is good because I think we can dig here a little bit. I'm so already intrigued by the idea that you know both sides, right? Yeah. So talking specifically about Success Teams, I find it interesting. The 501c. Yeah. What in college, right? Being so young.
Yeah.
Younger than 25, obviously. Knowing that you want to have a business, but a for-profit, what made you decide, you know what, I'm going to do a nonprofit? What was the click for you to say, I'm not going to pursue a for-profit? Yeah, because Build a Pros came after, right? It came later.
Right. That's right.
What in your mind, being so young, was I want to do a nonprofit versus a for-profit to start my first business?
Well, honestly, and that's a blessing too, I wasn't wise enough to understand that I was going to need, probably those funds to make things happen. Me personally, it just came straight from the heart. Everything was genuine. I didn't see the point in, making cash off the kids and things and shit. And it's nothing wrong with doing that, having services directed towards kids that you charge for. But me personally, with our programs, we got a Big Brother program. We got, our back to school book bag drive. We do college tours and give out scholarships. My thought process is, especially at that young age, is we got to give people the things that we need if we truly want them to be better than us. That was really the thought process back then. And again, that's, like I said, this is a blessing, because at a young age, you don't really got to think like that. You don't have to be so giving. You don't have to be so generous.
People aren't, which says a lot a lot about you, right? Like that says a lot. And so I'm curious to know, okay, so you're at the time, I'm assuming 21, 22, something around that age.
Right.
What would you tell the 21, 22-year-old yourself now, looking
Yeah.
back? Would you have done a nonprofit? Would you have done things differently? What do you feel like? I mean, granted, I see you have a huge heart, which is amazing. But from
Right.
the business aspect of it, do you feel like you could have accomplished the same things having it for profit?
Most definitely. Most definitely. And things I wouldn't change anything, but I will tell and encourage everybody around that age range as far as like what they're looking for. You can still be beneficial to the community doing a for-profit and things because your goal is to provide quality, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit. So my thing is I did take on a lot of, financial burden or risk in that time frame to where, it wasn't really the time for that because you're in school and now you're trying to give back at the same time. So I'm not gonna say it was easy, but we did it, and that's the thing about it too, to where like really just follow your heart to where it's whatever you want to do with it. I'm thinking that if you're doing anything just for the money, then you already on the wrong path. So it's
Right.
a thing that where really you just gotta follow your heart with that. And again, I'm not gonna tell anybody not to go the nonprofit route just because that's where that's where my heart is. That's where the love began. But at the end of the day, make sure that you are self-sufficient and putting in some type of work to have fun.
Listen, okay, so Tim, let's dig here for a second because I think you're getting into a lot of because especially knowing that our goal at the Institute is to really help people escape pitfalls, right?
Right.
People who aren't sure, they have a love for people or love for a specific type of community, and they're in this crossroad, right? Of like, do I
Right.
go to a nonprofit or do I just do an LLC? And they let their heart tell them what to do instead of
Right.
their actual mind, or what makes most logical sense. You said something really interesting. You said that doing a nonprofit at that time wasn't wise because of where you were.
Right.
You didn't tell me a little bit more about that in terms of what somebody should have in place to have an ideal nonprofit.
Honestly, it's a thing to where the term small business doesn't exist. It don't matter what what you're doing. Every business is gonna need funding. Every business is gonna need marketing. Every business is gonna need everything from the corporation. I don't care if you're just a single person. There should be no difference between your brand, the way it looks, the way it feels, and the quality that you're offering than Nike. You know what I'm saying? That's just the thought process that you should always go about. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter if you're a small startup, one person team, your goal should always be able to provide enough quality to where people can't tell the difference between you and a brand that they love already. But the biggest thing is that nobody necessarily has to support your dreams on the back end. So with that nonprofit route, you got to be sure that you have enough funding to fund that entire first year. That's the goal. That's the thought.
Say
That's
that
the
again,
concept.
Tim. That was good. You gave us a
Yeah.
gem. You gave us a
Yes.
whole strategy right there. What'd you say?
Yes. You need to have enough funding to fund that entire first year of your nonprofit. That's
Wow.
from incorporation, that's from marketing, that's from supplies, material, apparel, anything that you want to do, you need to be prepared to fund it yourself because what happens is you're not really going to get enough sponsorship until people see the results of what you're doing. So that ROI that you're looking at, pretty much nonprofits, the way you win is you have to provide a platform to where the marketing makes sense. You have to be partnering with businesses to where you're the community. So pretty much what you're doing is you're telling them that you have a platform that is able to reach their target market to their hearts that allows them an open door to reach them to their minds and their pockets. So it's a thing to where when you reach out to sponsors, it has to make sense. So they got to be able to see exactly what you're offering and what you're providing for them to even see a point in partnering with you. So that first year, you don't have a portfolio. So what are you bringing to sponsors? Like, what are you bringing to donators? What are you giving them as far as like, this is a reason why you should sponsor me? Yeah, you can have a good presentation in regards to this is what you're going to do. But a lot of people say what they're going to do. Not many people can show you what we've done. So you need to be prepared to fund that entire first year so that next year you can show exactly what we do. This is how we do it. This is my team. This is the impact that we've had, and this is why you should sponsor us because we're going to give you this ROI in order for us to accomplish our goal. You accomplish yours too.
Got it. So this is I love this because you're giving us now at this point tactical strategies on like what exactly it is you need to do. You said something You said marketing, right? You have to do it where the marketing makes sense. What did you
That's
mean
right.
in terms of
That's right.
making sense?
Nonprofits are actually marketing firms for for-profits. Yeah,
Wait, say
yeah,
that again.
yeah. Nonprofits are actually marketing firms for for-profits.
Wow.
And things because what are the sponsorship benefits that you're giving? You're giving them a logo on your website. You're giving them a logo on your flyer. You're giving them a chance to come out to your event and put up a banner. You're giving them options on whether or not they want to shout out on social media. What is that? That's marketing and things of that nature. That's what they want. So that's why it has to make sense, and you gotta be able to show them exactly what they're getting. Because on the back end, an actual marketing firm, that's what they're doing. It's like this is the reach you're gonna get from us doing this. So when you think about nonprofits being with us having a direct connection to the community, it's like this is the reach that you're gonna get from partnering with us. These are the people that you're gonna get in front of when partnering with us. These are the people that you're gonna be able to reach from partnering with us. So if we're talking about the youth, of course, we're gonna have to partner with people who support the youth. If we're talking about the youth, we're gonna have to partner with people who have a product that is directed towards families. We're going to have to partner with people who understand our mission. And that's the problem that people get into today, because they just be looking at funds, people who are willing to donate funds, but that's not a partner, because a partner is going to help you build on the back end. And if you only go for people who just want to put their name on something that you're doing, you're going to be searching for those funds every year instead of having an established partner of who's going to be there with you every year to build what y'all got going on. So that's a situation we really need to pay attention to.
So, what are some of the strategies, right? I think we have quite a few people on here that are nonprofits in different stages, right? But it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like at every stage of a nonprofit, what's necessary is partners, right?
That's right. That's right.
What we call that synonymous to donors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what would be your strategy, or what have you found to be good strategies to really be able to get not just people who want to put their name on something,
Right.
but attract and then close, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, it is business, but attract
That's
and
right.
close people who want to be partners. How have you found that to just make that happen, where people who want to be consistent year after year?
Right. Well, first, it starts with you. It does start with you being able to define what actually you're doing. Nobody wants to hear this is a great idea of what we're thinking about doing. It's like, no, you need to have a solid definition to where when you go into these meetings, they can already either connect or disconnect with you from your introduction. That doesn't waste anybody's time. But on the back end, start early. Say like this year, when people now I'll say this too before I continue. When if a lot of people who have gone into businesses and asked for support, either that be donations or sponsorships and things of that nature, if you go too late, they're not lying when they say we've already allocated our sponsorship fund. They are being absolutely serious, because majority of those, they establish partnerships in that October month of each year, to where they take breaks for holiday season. And what happens when you come back in January? You're filing your taxes, you're looking at your revenue, you're looking at exactly what you can do. And then by the time February, March come, you can go ahead and distribute your funds, go ahead and put that back in your tax records while you're doing that, and then we can move forward. So businesses, actually, they aren't lying when they tell you we've already dispersed all of our funds, because what they do is they go ahead and get it out the way. They go ahead and find the nonprofits and the businesses they want to partner with, and then they move forward. Because at the end of the day, if you have an event in June and you talk to them in May, how much marketing benefit ROI are they going to get in those 30 days?
Right.
They want that full year. They want that full platform of everything. They want to be marketed from that building point, the hype of you announcing what you're doing, all the way to the startup of the event. So you got to give them that. So you got to start early. And then again, you have to have that first year portfolio, because what happens after that is this is going to be our second annual. This is going to be our third annual. This is going to be our fourth annual, to where the community, they trust you with this. They trust you with being able to get community excited. Community should already know. Since you did it one time before, they're going to be expecting it again that next year. So that first year portfolio is super important. But from there, just starting early and making sure that you're educating partners.
So what's early? Give us a time frame of
Mm-hmm.
ideally when you should be going out. And two-part question. One is, what's the time frame? And then two, how much time should be spent doing this, right? Being able to get partners. As we know, it sounds like really when you have a nonprofit, the money is coming in. It's like the lifeline, right?
Right.
So how much time should be spent doing these activities of setting up meetings if somebody's a founder? Because I think I asked this because of this. Let me just give you a preface.
Right.
We do something here at EI. We teach what we call the $1 Million Day. And
Right.
it's the concept of being able to not just do building activities, but growth activities where you're getting out there, you're connecting with potential partners. You spend more time doing that because you can have more exposures versus necessarily just spending time creating Facebook posts or creating.
Right.
So I'm curious on the nonprofit side. One is, when is the ideal time frame? And then two, how much time would you suggest a founder of a nonprofit to spend really going out and getting partners?
Right. Well, I would say no later than October. And things that you need to have those initial meetings. I call those waste meetings, especially if it's the first time that you're making that introduction. If you see somebody that might be beneficial or be a great partner, you want to contact them as early as October, because then it's about courteous. You got to understand that humans are humans still, and things of that nature. They're not. If you're able to make that initial contact in October, they're most likely, they may get back to you, around the holidays and things like that, but they may not. There's a limited amount of weeks. What you got to do is you got to analyze your calendar and look at exactly the open windows that you have. You're not contacting anybody after the third week of November. They're on vacation. They're getting ready for the holidays. They're enjoying their families. And then you got that gap within Christmas, but really nobody's interacting with that as well. So it's a situation where I would say late September, early October, you want to schedule those first initial meetings, those first initial waste meetings, to where really it's just an introduction. And then after the holidays, most likely that third week of January, you want to do a follow-up meeting to where it's just like they already know who you are. They already know what you're about. They already know what you're trying to do, to where this is a meeting to where it's like, okay, let me present my full portfolio to you so it makes sense for us to go ahead and establish that partnership. You want to have that partnership established no later than the last week of February. That's Black History Month. Go ahead and make your history. Things that you want to have that partnership established no later than the last week of February, because from then on, you want to give them that time to have that ROI. With March is kind of like a dead month where not too much is happening, but you can go ahead and start building up, you know what I'm saying, your advertisement, your marketing, getting everything in. You can have those funds. They should have submitted those funds to you already after that contract is made and that partnership is established. Then from there you have March, which is the dead month, to where you can go ahead and get everything that you need to go ahead and begin your year. Then April and on, you just kill them the whole year. And you keep it moving that way to where it's fast, especially with hours. And this is experience from hours, because specifically our busy season is within the summer. So you want to have your funds allocated and your budget set at least 90 days before you have to actually implement your first event.
Wow, 90 days. Okay, so this is so amazing. I think one is already, thank you so much. You've given so much gems. Like the average person would have to go and try to figure all this out, Google all of this.
Right.
I'm so grateful for your generosity. I'm so excited about this. So here's my question then to the second part of this. How much time? When you think about the average person who's just starting, right? Maybe they've been in this for a couple years and they've had to reset their whole board, right? Now it's still back to them and maybe a co-founder, if that. How much time should be spent really going out to get partners, and how much time should be spent building programs and building the actual nonprofit in terms of what it is conceptually, the content, right? Like if you had to give us, knowing now in hindsight, of course, when you start, you're super excited, but in hindsight now, years later, what would you say if you had to give us a formula of like 50% should be spent doing, partners and 50% spending doing content and programming? What are your thoughts there?
I would say 70-30 in regards to building programs, and it with 70% and 30% actually going out there and getting donations and sponsors. Because what you got to define what a sponsor is as well. A sponsor is somebody who is with you that entire year, or somebody who takes on a sponsorship for an entire program. You're going to have donations throughout the entire year as far as people getting used to seeing you do something. But a sponsor is somebody who's with you from day one all the way to day 365. So that's the big thing. You don't want to spend too much time on sponsors because at the end of the day, you still have to provide quality. You still got to provide that ROI. So if you spend more time worrying about them, that takes a lot of time from you worrying about your programs. And then that affects you. That's just a downhill spiral for next year and the year to come, because the situation, again, people like to see a portfolio. People like to see you get better. So if you're worried too much about bringing in money, but then you don't provide quality, this is one thing that people need to understand. Marketing is going to get your first partner. Marketing is going to get your first sale. Quality gets your second. So that's a situation where,
We
yep,
need it.
marketing is going to get your first sale, your first partner, but quality is going to get your second. To where it's evident every day. Say you go to Walmart and you try a drink, you bought it, but if it's nasty, you're not going to buy it again.
Right.
So I mean, it is what it is, and that's the same thing in regards like to that nonprofit realm or business in general. You can put out all the marketing you want, you can allocate all the funds you want, but at the end of the day, that will be the last time you get that support if you don't provide what you promised you would provide.
That's so good. That's so good. And I think that's across the board, whether you have a nonprofit or not, quality and integrity is absolutely everything. And I think
That's
it's
right.
something that as entrepreneurs, because it's so easy to start a business nowadays, we feel like we can just kind of put something together.
Yeah.
So I love how you are really honing in on that integrity is important. And that's how you keep people coming back. So a couple more questions, and I want you guys that are on here on Facebook tonight. I know you can't see necessarily, Tim, but I'll be reading all my questions, okay? So don't be worried about that. You guys on Facebook, be sure to put your questions, at least be thinking about them, and we're gonna get to them in just a second. So we talked about so much here. We've talked about the strategy, we've talked about 30, we've talked about what's important. We've even talked about being able to spend time on actually creating a program that's integral. Here's what the question is now. So, and this is just me looking at the chat, it seems like a good amount of people have nonprofits at this point, right? At least that are on our chat. And I want us to be able to cater this tonight to our audience. And so now I know if I need to start a nonprofit, I need to at least get some money on the table, at least for a year, right? So talk to me and really help those people who are at year 2, year 3. They've been doing this for a while, and the biggest challenge, it seems like, is either getting sponsors. And I think you said something that was really good. You said sponsors can be per program or per year.
Right.
I think that's a whole strategy we can get into later. But talk to me about where you were. And this is how many years for you now for Success Team?
Yeah, 4th going on the 5th. Yeah.
Going on the 5th year, right? Yeah. So that 2-year mark, I already know when it comes to business and for profit, that 2-year, 3-year mark can always be a little bit challenging. Where were you, and what have you found if you were to go back to yourself at year 2 or at year 3 and say, man, if I could do a couple of things differently, here's what I want you guys to make sure that you're paying attention. What could you help us with?
Most definitely. Year 2, I was still that big-eyed, open kid, to where it's a situation where I was more focused on us getting it done instead of us getting it done right. So, that's the biggest thing about it. There was a lot of funding that we could have stretched, but we didn't, because instead of looking up, buying in bulk, or instead of looking up, certain days to where nonprofits benefited from making purchases, or, bridging the gap with certain local companies and things of that nature. We were really just doing what we needed to do instead of taking advantage of the resources that, we knew existed. We didn't take time to continue our research. After year 1, it was like, okay, we can do this. When in actuality, you still need to be a student of the game. So, really with year 2, people are impressed. You're impressed. You're happy with what you've done, but now it's the thing to where you need to be looking at your measurement of results. You need to be looking at how you can properly use your funding. You need to be looking at how you can grow and give people more quality than the previous year. Because pretty much no matter what it is, and I know people, you can grind it out as much as you can, but that first year is really just a trial year to see if you can get it done. Year 2 is a situation where you really need to be focused on, can we get this done right? And how can we put in a plan to where we need to be focused on longevity?
Got it. So I'm curious to know, do you have a big team? How big is your team, Tim?
Yeah, we're not huge at all. Honestly, the biggest thing is having willing bodies. We got about six of us total, and things in this shit.
Great, great. Because I was hoping that you said that, right?
Yeah.
My reason for that is because I think sometimes we feel like we have to have this huge board or this
Mm-hmm.
huge team to really be able to be successful. Tell us a little bit of strategies, knowing that, of course, nonprofit, it's not like a for-profit in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like budgets have to be allocated in certain places. What are
Right.
some strategies that you can share with people tonight who they know they're only one person, or maybe they even have
Mm-hmm.
a smaller team of two or three
Right.
people. They've got to get some stuff done, but they haven't quite even got to the place where they even have enough funding
Mm-hmm.
to pay people salary or whatever it may be. What are
Mm-hmm.
strategies for people to be able to get everything that they need to get done and still only have a small team or just be a solo founder?
Right. Well, it's a situation where projection and planning is smooth. My team knows every date that we meet from our first meeting for the entire year. So that's one thing that helps out too.
Wait, Tim, that was good because
Yeah.
we missed that planning piece. You said, hold on, let me make sure I got that right. Your team knows every meeting date from the beginning of the year to the end of the year up front.
That's right.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
right. Because it's a situation where you still got to understand at the end of the day, people are human and they got stuff going on. Hopefully, you want to have team members who aren't just focused solely on what y'all are doing, because at the end of the day, who they are outside of your organization is more important than who they are inside in regards like to titles. Because at the end of the day, when they start being a representation of your brand, you gotta have them acting positive outside, and things of that, people are gonna associate you with your team members. And that's huge because a lot of people just like to pile on a team or like to take on individuals who are interested in what they're doing instead of having willing bodies who are willing, to do anything that it takes to make it happen. My team and things of that shit, like honestly, I believe in every single one of them. We're all different too. We have a lot of similar ideologies and thinking processes, but if I told them we're gonna meet at McDonald's at 8:11, underneath the Happy Meal sign, they're gonna be there. And it's a thing to where you need those individuals who can understand your vision more than them understanding how it's actually gonna come into fruition. Because and at the end of the day, it starts with you too. Nobody wants to be on the team when the captain or the leader or whoever is making decisions at the time isn't confident or serious about what they're doing, or a person who understands that they don't need to be taking direction, in times of question, or in times of understanding that maybe you aren't the only one with a good idea.
Right.
So like that's huge. You don't need a big team. You need willing bodies. And how many that is, whether that be one, whether that be two, whether that be three. You know what I'm saying? It's a situation, it may be 20, but all of them need to be willing to take on whatever task that needs to be done for that organization, because at the end of the day, everybody needs to be driven into the vision. You need to it's fully explain to them what your vision is and why we're doing what we're doing for them to buy in. Because at the end of the day, when you're first starting, not only are you asking people to volunteer their time, you're asking people to volunteer their time and take away from, the things that they could be doing on their own for free. So it's a thing where they're gonna have to have that same connection you do in order for it to make sense for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I have one last question, and then we're going to open it up for questions here. We've got some kind of conversation going on here. I would love to be able to for you to jump in and chime
Yeah.
in. So, and I've asked all my summer school guests this, right, thus far. So you get the question as well too. And
Right.
if you have 30 days, or I'm scenario up where you have 30 days left to
Yeah.
actually make some serious progress on your nonprofit, where you guys are going to go under. What is the one thing? You can only do one thing, right? What is the one
Right.
thing that you decide, this is what we're going to bet on? You have 30 days to make it happen. You pick one thing. What is that thing that you pick to focus on that in your mind you feel like if we do this, everything else will fall into place, or at least have a better chance to fall in place?
Right. Okay. I would say probably do a call to action to the community and things like if we do that, then we good to go. Because now this is also going back into a situation if you've done something already,
Okay.
but hopefully you've done something to impact the community. Because from our experience, from us, it's a thing to where the community feeds our organization. we don't do registration anymore. We don't have to. Community does that. We put something out, we get 100 shares just because they love what we're doing. But they love what we're doing because of the fact that they understand that we're genuinely here for them. So we would do a call to action to the community. Let them do what they do. Let them come to our rescue with things of nature and be there for us. Because at the end of the day, it's a thing where we want them to understand we aren't trying to replace you, especially with parents when it comes to kids. We ain't trying to replace you. We're trying to partner with you. So you feel comfortable to come to us and ask for help, and we'll feel comfortable to come to you to ask for help as well.
This is so good because I think this is a hidden strategy in here that if we can just unpack it really quick before we transition to questions, it sounds like not only are you leveraging the community because one, you have 30 days, right? So you got to reach as many eyeballs as possible, but it sounds like you understand the power of being able to tap into other people's just network. Like that's huge, right? So I think that's a strategy in itself. And I don't know how often you all do events or things like that, but even if you could talk a little bit about the framework of what is, just for those who may not know, when you say a call to action, because I think that strategy is huge. Like I'm even thinking like, if I had 30 days left, that's brilliant to just be talking to everybody who shares the same mission that I share, right? So tell us, just so everybody can understand, what does that look like? A call to action to the community. What does that look like?
Well, pretty much it could be from any platform, whether it be a poll, whether it be a question, it could be an actual event, and things in which where, hey, we're doing this on this day. We need y'all to come out and support. Or we set a goal to be able to do this. We need y'all to come out and support. This is what we're doing on this time, at this time, on this day. We need y'all to come out and support. Because at the end of the day, they understand everything's reciprocal. So it's like whatever we're doing is going right back to the community.
Right.
That's just how it goes. So they don't mind supporting because, again, we've established that. Now, that's one thing about it. Like I said, this is one thing that'll work if you've already established that connection within your community, that, you care for them and that you're there for them. And, what I'm saying, they don't mind. People at the end of the day, people feel, they feel the love. Everybody wants to be able to support the people that support them. That's a big opportunity for somebody to give somebody you love an opportunity to support you. That's a huge thing.
Huge, that's huge. And I think a huge takeaway, just to kind of end this segment here, is that not to be afraid to ask.
That's right.
At the end of the day, especially considering the nature of a nonprofit, right? I think you are sharing something that's so powerful, and it's not to be afraid to ask. If you're going to do a call to action to the community, that means you've got to ask for something, right?
That's right.
You've got to make sure that you're clear on what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then don't be afraid to ask. And I think nonprofits and for-profits, sometimes they just have a little bit different flair. But if you have a nonprofit, you have the advantage in this moment, right? Am I wrong for that?
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I would challenge everybody tonight that if you have a nonprofit to figure out what is your CTA to the community.
Yeah.
If Steph said that's what he would do in the next 30 days, like everybody on here tonight should figure out what is
That's right.
I told you the secret of like the 30 day spin. So Tim, this is amazing. I want to do this before we get too late and here wrap up. What questions do you all have? I know we've got some questions. I'm going to read some to you off here, Tim, in just a moment. But I want you guys over here on Facebook to drop your questions. This has been more than good tonight. If you have a nonprofit, if you are thinking about a nonprofit, or even if you are trying to recover where you've been and want to revive your nonprofit, my hope is that if you're on here tonight, that you got what you needed and you see that it is possible. Tim started this in college, and now successful with not just this business, but another one as well too. So kudos to you, Tim. Hats off to you for serving our community, for deciding to pour and give back, even when monetarily it may not seem like the most amazing thing to do. You're excited. So we honor you here at EI of Atlanta for even just deciding to take that route. So awesome to you. Here's our question, our first question. And Facebook, I want you guys to continue to drop your questions in here. It says, is starting a nonprofit in Canada similar to starting one in the States? Do you know?
I'm sure, honestly, now I'm not in Canada, so I can't give you 100% correct answers. This is that like this is correct, but I'm pretty sure, honestly, Canadian trends in regards to business aren't so different than the United States. That's why we can cooperate so much because there isn't too much of a blind window in regards to interaction. So I would think so. I would think so. Pretty much at the end of the day, you're still gonna have to define what you want to do. You're gonna have to come up with your brand strategy. You're gonna come up with your marketing, your title, anything that you want to implement in the community or things that you want to do. So that doesn't change no matter where you are. Now, in regards like to the incorporation or the business side, that might be a little different in regards to fees or how you actually go about it. But in regards like to the actual programming and getting your brand where it needs to go, that's gonna be the same.
Got it. So another question, someone mentions here, should your board have odd numbers for voting purposes? Should your board have odd numbers for voting purposes?
Mm-hmm. Well,
or is that a preference?
Yeah, that's a preference because at the end of the day, you can take yourself out of the scenario. Even like say we have six total, I can always back out of the vote, and then we can have that odd number of people, or you can stay in, and then if it is ended up 3-3, you can put a call to action. Well, put another mission onto your team to where it's okay. We're gonna talk this out and figure it out, and whoever can come back with the most logical situation or example of why we should go this route, that's the route we're gonna go.
Okay. But one of the strategies they can take is to take themselves out of the vote.
Yeah, that's correct.
Great. Okay, here's another one. It says, what is the best crowdfunding platform for nonprofits? What is the best crowdfunding platforms for nonprofits? Kia says that.
Crowdfunding, I honestly do not do crowdfunding. It's
Tell
a
us
thing.
why.
Yeah, well, really, it's a situation to where if you're doing something for the community, then you need to be doing your funding there and things of that nature. To where it's like you can set up donation links and things of that nature for the community feed and things of that nature. But we don't necessarily do crowdfunding. We usually just stick with our local businesses to where we can make that interaction, that connection. Using crowdfunding or a platform to where you can't have that face-to-face interaction or be able to really establish, a partner in regards like to that funding, that means that's temporary funding to where you're going to be have to do it again and again and again over next year without any type of confirmation of this is the amount that we're going to get to be able to do what we want to do every year. So, me personally, it may be a good route, but me personally, we haven't done crowdfunding just because we feel as if connecting with our partners on that face-to-face level is more beneficial.
I love this strategy. And for me personally, I'm not in the nonprofit space, right? Mm-hmm. However, I think I've been around the game a little bit longer enough to hear what is some really good sense. And again, I'm not, I get the disclaimer, I'm not in the nonprofit space. However, I think it's something to note in terms of strategically, strategy-wise, to not necessarily make the crowdfunding option the optimal or the primary funding option, because you're saying something that's so powerful, which is you have to keep going around and doing it again and doing it again. So I'm saying all that to say that as you guys are listening to this and processing this information, really hear the gem in what he's saying. He's not saying that crowdfunding is not ideal and that you can't do it, but when it comes to, one is saving your sanity from having to do it all over again, right? But also being able to maximize your efforts, because you could have that same conversation with someone one-on-one that you could have with a partner or a potential long-term partner for a program year, and only have to do it one time versus having to do it every single year. Is that safe to say, Tim? Is that where you're going?
Correct.
I think that's such a gem in there. So one more question, and we will we're gonna wrap up here. It says, do you suggest nonprofit versus LLC? Denise says this. Do you suggest nonprofit versus LLC? So I'm assuming this means in terms of whatever business you start. So do you, at what point, maybe rephrase the question a little bit better, so that we can squeeze some resources out of here. When picking or when creating a business idea, what is the prerequisite to say this should be a nonprofit and this should be a LLC? Do you have in your mind, now having both types of businesses, when you have a new idea, in which bucket you should put it in?
Right. Well, I mean, I would say it really starts with the purpose of what you're trying to do. You know, of course, if it's a situation like with me, it was easy to go the nonprofit route with Success Team because it, you know, for me, it didn't really make sense for us to be charging kids or taking people out of a scenario that wouldn't be able to afford it. You know, for us, like we went nonprofit because if we charged for what we were doing, 50%, especially in our climate, our demographic, our community, 50% of those who should be benefiting wouldn't be able to.
Wow.
So it's a thing where for profit to where it's really a thing to where it really doesn't matter whatever your preference is, but you just got to look at the reason behind what you're doing and whether or not it really does make sense for your target market to either be, you know, be understanding that this is a service that charges a fee, or this is a service that, you know, looks to provide something for you to benefit from that way. You know, for nonprofits, your income is impact. And then for profits, your income is, of course, monetary gain. So you got to be able to associate what you're actually trying to do and then see the correlation between who your target market is and whether or not they can actually afford it and whether or not this is a service that they need. And then that's the decision that you go for.
I love that. I love that. Nonprofit is impact. That's so
Mm-hmm.
good. Sam, you've been more than amazing tonight.
Hey.
Listen, we're probably going to have a ton of questions flow in,
Mm-hmm.
but here's what I want to make sure that we do before we get off. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us where we can support you. We've got quite a bit of people here on Facebook tonight, so please tell us about you, where we can find you, and what's next for you.
Most definitely. You can always visit our website at www.successteam.us. That's a one word. Success Team is one word. That's SUCCESSTEAM.us for the website. Our Facebook is at successteam.us. Our Instagram is at successteam.us. My personal page, Tim Behling, TIM. B as in boy, EHLING. For Facebook, LinkedIn, my Instagram is at KUZI3_. You can follow me on the gram, make it happen that way. And of course, you know, you can always continue to reach out to us on any platform that we have. Like we're here, we're open. You're always gonna get a reply back. You're always gonna receive that genuine support as well.
I love it. I love it. Tim, this is more than we could ask for tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey.
Look, people are absolutely getting their life on here tonight.
Yeah.
You've set some people free. You've given people some strategy. And we're more than excited. You're always welcome back here at EI Atlanta platform.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you. So thank you so much. Any parting words? Any last gems you want to share with everybody tonight in the nonprofit space before we jump off?
Continue to tune in to EI every Monday. Make sure you get these gems. Make sure you understand that this is the platform that you need to be at. You got questions, they got the answers, but blessings to you guys. I appreciate you for the opportunity. It was a great time, a great thing that we just did. Great dialogue, great conversation. I just appreciate y'all. Everybody stay blessed. Make sure that you're doing what your heart feels and stay safe out here.
That's it. This is how we win. This is it right here. Real gems, real people, real stories, sharing it so that we can get to the top together. So Tim, thank you again. Blessings to you.
Yes.
More success to you. And this is just the beginning for you in your life.
That's right.
Excited to watch your journey and excited to help you go to the next place. Anything we can do for you, let us know. Guys, have an amazing night. We're back here summer school tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, every weekday, Monday through Thursday. You guys know where you can find us. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tomorrow we are talking about PR in the music industry, so you absolutely do not want to miss it. Tim, have an amazing night. And guys, I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m.
All right, now y'all be good.
Bye.